Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany. If you love classic novels as much as I do, you're in the right place. Today we're diving into the clever world of Pride and Prejudice. Wit is the ability to make quick jokes and think on your feet, but in a rigid society, does it make women powerful or vulnerable? Elizabeth Bennet's wit is used as both banter and a shield to hide her feelings, but does it help her when it comes to marriage? Yes, she got married in the end, but it was mainly due to luck. Pride and Prejudice was written by Jane Austen in England and published in 1813 during the Regency period. At the time of the Regency period, according to Jane Todd's Jane Austen in Context, women were told through conduct books, especially John Gregory's A Father's Legacy to His Daughters, to be silent in company, to not eat in public, and keep one's intelligence and education a secret from everyone, especially men, with wit being deemed a danger due to the possibility of creating enemies. Wit was risky because if you say something that is ruder than people expected from you, you could be ostracized and have a difficult time in your social sphere. We're going to analyze 3 scenes: the tolerable insult, Elizabeth's reaction to Mr. Darcy's letter, and Lady Catherine's confrontation. Then the Netherfield ball starts with the Bingley party being introduced. Bingley's sisters are viewed as fashionable and Bingley is viewed as kind and lively. But Mr. Darcy takes the attention due to his attractiveness and money until the guests of the ball realize that he doesn't wish to dance or even introduce himself to others. This leads to Mr. Bingley taking him aside and speaking to him about his behavior and telling him to dance. Elizabeth is sitting out due to a lack of men at the ball and overhears this. "I would not be so fastidious as you are," cried Bingley, "for a kingdom. Upon my honor, I never met with so many pleasant girls in my life as I have this evening, and there are several of them you see uncommonly pretty." "You are dancing with the only handsome girl in the room," said Mr. Darcy, looking at the eldest, Miss Bennet. "Oh, she is the most beautiful creature I ever beheld. But there is one of her sisters sitting down just behind you who is very pretty and I dare say very agreeable. Do let me ask my partner to introduce you." "Which do you mean?" And turning round, he looked for a moment at Elizabeth, till, catching her eye, he withdrew his own and coldly said, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me, and I am in no humor at present to give consequence to young ladies who are slighted by other men. You had better return to your partner and enjoy her smiles, for you are wasting your time with me." Mr. Bingley followed his advice. Mr. Darcy walked off, and Elizabeth remained with no very cordial feelings towards him. She told the story, however, with great spirit among her friends, for she had a lively, playful disposition which delighted in anything ridiculous. Elizabeth's reaction, losing all cordial feelings and then telling the story without showing anger, shows that she uses her wit as a form of armor to seem playful without letting her feelings show too much. This makes her seem as though she isn't offended even when she is, and caused her to not consider any position but her own. Her dislike of Mr. Darcy was so strong, she believed what Mr. Wickham said about Mr. Darcy without even considering whether or not it was even proper to speak of someone you yourself scarcely know, and potentially ruin their reputation even if it was only said to herself. She also did not even consider Mr. Darcy's own feelings on any matters, which leads us to this. After Mr. Darcy's proposal to Elizabeth, she refuses him and explains that the way he acts towards people in general is rude, using the fact that he stopped Jane and Mr. Bingley's potential relationship and stopped Mr. Wickham from having his living as a clergyman. The next morning, Mr. Darcy gives Elizabeth a letter explaining why he did what he did. After reading the letter, Elizabeth reacts by saying, "How despicably I have acted," she cried, "I who have prided myself on my discernment, I who have valued myself on my abilities, who have often disdained the generous candor of my sister, and gratified my vanity in useless or blameless distrust. How humiliating is this discovery, yet how just a humiliation. Had I been in love, I could not have been more wretchedly blind. But vanity, not love, has been my folly, pleased with the preference of one, and offended by the neglect of the other. On the very beginning of our acquaintance, I have courted prepossession and ignorance, and driven reason away when either were concerned. Till this moment, I never knew myself." Elizabeth realizes that she was so angry at him for something that he said, essentially to avoid dancing, that she didn't consider how her willingness to despise Mr. Darcy led to her being a bad judge of character and having socially inappropriate conversations with someone she essentially just met. Her anger led to her not realizing how what both she and Mr. Wickham did was improper and caused a misunderstanding due to her pride in having attention from a man. Her vanity led to her disdain and unwillingness to think, maybe I should get both sides of a story, or no, I shouldn't let someone cloud my opinion of someone else. I should think of their feelings if this got out. Elizabeth's love of her wit and willingness to judge from simple perceptions without thinking first led to a prejudiced opinion of Mr. Darcy, and it could be argued his economic rank as well. While Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy are the same social class, being landed gentry, the fact that he makes significantly more than her father is rude to everyone could make her presume that most gentlemen around his income level would be unwilling to consider someone of her father's income level as a friend, let alone a wife. When in reality, it was more the lack of manners and unwillingness to train his daughters in good breeding that led to Mr. Darcy lacking respect for the Bennet family, which Elizabeth internally has always agreed with. She is only upset at it being acknowledged by anyone other than herself. But most importantly, this lesson taught Elizabeth that wit doesn't equal good judgment. Her lack of judgment caused her willingness to be blind to others' faults and led to wit betraying her. This caused her later to think about all judgments she made and see whether or not they were accurate. Later on, after a long while, Lady Catherine de Bourgh goes to Longbourn to get a response from Elizabeth that she will not say yes to a proposal of marriage to Mr. Darcy. But Lady Catherine did not expect Elizabeth to be so intelligent. Lady Catherine says, "This is not to be borne, Miss Bennet. I insist on being satisfied. Has my nephew made you an offer of marriage?" Elizabeth responds, "Your ladyship has declared it impossible." Lady Catherine says, "It ought to be so. It must be so, while he retains the use of his reason. But your arts and allurements may, in a moment of infatuation, have made him forget what he owes to himself and to all his family. You may have drawn him in." Elizabeth says, "If I have, I shall be the last person to confess it." Lady Catherine says, "Miss Bennet, do you know who I am? I have not been accustomed to such language as this. I am almost the nearest relation he has in the world, and I'm entitled to know all his dearest concerns." Elizabeth says, "But you are not entitled to know mine, nor will such behavior as this ever induce me to be explicit." Lady Catherine then says, "Let me be rightly understood. This match to which you have the presumption to aspire can never take place. No, never. Mr. Darcy is engaged to my daughter. Now what have you to say?" Elizabeth says, "Only this, that if he is so, you can have no reason to suppose he will make an offer to me." Lady Catherine says, "From their infancy, they have been intended for each other. It was the favorite wish of his mother, as well as of hers. While in their cradles, we planned a union. And now, at the moment when the wishes of both sisters would be accomplished, is their marriage to be prevented by a young woman of inferior birth, of no importance to the world, and wholly allied in the family?" Elizabeth then says, "If there is no other objections to me marrying your nephew, I shall certainly not be kept from it by knowing that his mother and aunt wished him to marry Miss de Bourgh. You both did as much as you could in planning the marriage. Its completion depended on others. If Mr. Darcy is neither by honor nor inclination and confined to his cousin, why is not he to make another choice? And if I am that choice, why may I not accept him?" Lady Catherine says, "Because honor, decorum, prudence, nay, interest, forbid it." "Yes, Miss Bennet, interest, for do not expect to be noticed by his family or friends if you willfully act against the inclinations of all. You will be censured, slighted, and despised by everyone connected with him. Your alliance will be a disgrace. Your name will never even be mentioned by any of us." Elizabeth then says, "These are heavy misfortunes, but the wife of Mr. Darcy must have such extraordinary sources of happiness necessarily attached to her situation that she could, upon the whole, have no cause to repine." Catherine says, "Obstinate, headstrong girl. I came here determined to carry my purpose. I'm not used to disappointment." Elizabeth then says, That will make your ladyship's situation more pitiable, but it will have no effect on me. Lady Catherine goes on about the importance of Edinburgh and Mr. Darcy's maternal line, Elizabeth's connections, but then says, "Tell me, once and for all, are you engaged to him?" Elizabeth says, "I'm not." Lady Catherine says, "And will you promise never to enter into such an engagement?" Elizabeth says, "I will make no promise of the kind." Elizabeth's wit made it difficult for Lady Catherine to both explain and get a good sense of what Elizabeth means with her quick responses. The emphasis of mine makes it clear that Elizabeth was using a strong tone to show her disdain. This makes Lady Catherine furious and uncomfortable with Elizabeth's intelligence, expecting her to be docile and a typical lady of the period. After all of this, Lady Catherine leaves and tells Mr. Darcy how wittily and presumably rude, Elizabeth acted by not being willing to reject a potential proposal. This leads to Mr. Darcy getting hope and going over to Longbourn to propose again. If Mr. Darcy had not been in love with Elizabeth, she likely would not have married for a good while, because while wit is good for conversation, it was not viewed as a good thing. And that, along with poor dowry, is probably why Elizabeth only had 2 men's proposals. Her luck is what saved her. What do you think? Does Elizabeth's wit help her, or was she lucky? Do you think pride and expectations shape choices in life today? Let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel or grab the book I mentioned, the links are down below. It really helps me keep making videos like this. That's it for today. Catch you next week.